made by Autumn Rose. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Genny Jam. Thank you for joining Fret Sisters Presents Between Frets, a space where female musicians who played string instruments meet and discuss all things music. Today we have another Fret Tea Talk. We have Shorny Shorn Marshall.
Yay!
And Lacole Rose.
What's good, everybody?
Yeah, and me, Genny Jam. Woohoo! And today we, I know, we're so happy. Today we are going to discuss overcoming industry shenanigans.
Oh,
Okay,
wow.
so what does that mean? Can anybody explain? I mean, there's a few. What we really want to kind of discuss with the shenanigans is situations in a musician where you have to deal with unprofessional musicians, really just the workplace. Is that pretty much what it kind of is, guys?
Yeah, I think it can apply to any workplace job. If you've ever had any kind of 9 to 5 or even a 2 to 4, you probably dealt with some of these situations that we're going to speak on today.
Yeah, definitely. So this came about because, we've always been discussing like our time at gigs or at a job, working with artists and stuff. And we just felt like this is something we're sure that everybody goes through. So the first question is, we're going to be talking about musicians that try to blackball other musicians. Thing to discuss on that one. We actually kind of...
I have
experienced something like that. I mean, not with us, but like we kind of like saw some social media, right? We saw some social media happening
recently.
Yeah, recently. We recently saw some social media where that was happening. That kind of stuff gets really crazy, I think.
I know actually from the past, we heard a friend of ours was just moved into a new city, and she was like, "Oh, going to meet this other musician." We didn't say no names, and found out they were in the same audition, and same audition, and found out the other musician was telling the leader not to hire her.
Yeah. Wow,
that's bad.
It was like. It's kind of like someone was trying to block an opportunity, especially when they just move into a new city and they're trying to get, the feel of the environment.
Yeah. I mean, I had something similar happen to me personally. I moved from Ohio back home to Georgia a couple of years ago. And before I moved back, I had correspondence, online with certain musicians that are locally in Atlanta. They were telling me, when you move down, let's link up. I can hook you up with some people, this, that, and the third. And then when I got here, the person or the persons didn't like a friend that I hung out with. And they were like, okay, well, you talk to this person, so obviously I can't trust you. It's like, we've never met. I don't know what kind of relationship that you have with this person, but I've never had any one-on-one communication with you. And they were like, no, I know how this person is. And when it came down to it, it really wasn't about they had a bad interaction. It's just that this person was a better player than this person, and they were jealous. So they're spreading rumors about a person just because they play better. That kind of petty stuff. I'm like, oh my goodness, is this what I'm walking into? Crazy. Yeah.
That is terrible.
Yeah.
Gosh. So, I mean, like, what did you do? How did you, handle that? Like, going forward, because you're moving down there, so you kind of know these guys.
Yeah. I mean, the person that I had, the friendship with, I told them, I saw the person, I was like, for some reason, they kind of just mean mugged me, and what happened? And they were like, who is it? And I told them the person's name. They're like, they don't like me. I'm like, is there a reason? Did you not go to a gig? Did you have a falling out? No, we've never worked together before. I'm like, so what's the issue? Well, I tried to teach this person, I went to one of their events or something, and they were struggling with something. I tried to help them out. And the person got to say, I don't need your help. Who are you to try to teach me anything? And that's how it started. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'm new to the whole music thing. I'm new in this. It just seems like off the bat, it's very high school. automatically back. I reverted back, 20 years. I'm like, okay, how should I handle this? Okay, I'm not going to stop talking to my friend because that's a friend, but I don't want this friend to interfere with any future gigs I may have. 'Cause I don't know if this attitude or this, perception is with more than one person. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
No, go on.
I mean, because my friend could be telling me one thing, but very well, this friend could be an issue. You know what I mean? Because this still is a new relationship I'm building with this person. How do I handle this? Okay, I'm just going to back away. I'm going to, every time I see this person who says, they can't work with me because this is my friend, I'm still going to be nice to them every time I see them. It's not going to be an issue. So the last time I saw them, they walked up to me, said, "Hey, how you doing?" I'm like, "Hey." They was like, "You know what? We should get together." And I'm thinking like, okay. So I think that sort of switched it up because I didn't change who I was. Even though they didn't like the friend, I'm still going to be the person that I am. And when I see them and say hi, I'm a smile. And I think that kind of went over to, okay, she might be okay. So I think whenever these kind of instances, if something comes up, you still got to be yourself and show them your character. You know what I mean?
I totally agree with that because I've had a few instances, personally that happened to me throughout playing and stuff. The first one was a long time ago. I mean, this is one of a few. But this one in particular, when you talked about your attitude afterwards, I wasn't really a great player back then. I mean, we all say that, but I was playing with a friend of mine. We just like jammed together, and then like somebody wanted to like start this jazz kind of group or something like that. And I wasn't really at that time. It was a long time ago where I wasn't. How do you say? I wasn't such a great player then. I was still learning. I was still in my learning phase. So, but I just went along with it, and I'm like, oh gosh, can I really do this? But I just went along with it. And the person I was with, she was really, really good. She was a drummer and a singer, very, very good. And so they were like, okay, yeah, let's all get together. So we all got together, but I totally like did not do well. Not that, they were saying anything, but I just knew myself that it was just a little bit over my head. So what they did was they started a group and they didn't want me in it, right? Okay. So when I heard that, I was just like, okay, that's fine. So I was cool with that. I didn't really do anything, but we didn't talk for like 3 or 4 years. We connected again after a few years. And when she talked to me, she thought that I was going to be mentioning what happened when the rest of the members didn't want me in the group. And I was just like, that's not a big deal to me. Like, why would I even worry about that? Because inside I felt like I really wasn't up to par in what they wanted to do. So I was cool with it. It hurts a little bit, but you're cool with it. But I just kept the same person I was. She was really like surprised of that, and we actually did stuff afterwards, like big things. So I guess it's just your attitude, when you have to deal with musicians that try to shade you or try to do anything. It's just like you just got to be above that. And like you said, Lacole, you said high school. That is so. It is so true when it comes to high school, because just real quick with this one group that I was with, they had a lot of turnover. So when a lot of musicians would quit, they would go ahead and spin stories about them and put that stuff on social media, like seriously. And so when I quit, because the environment was so bad, and this is where this totally falls under the shenanigans, this overcoming industry shenanigans, where I was in a situation where the band was just, real bad, like ugly, and musicians and the organization and stuff. But when I quit, I made sure that I knew what they were going to do and start spinning stories. So I just went on social media, said something real nice, use God and everything. Like,
oh
well, I mean, I'm not like lying about God, but I would be like, basically, this is what I'm doing. This is my walk. And I'm leaving because of the shenanigans, really, that's basically how I worded it. But that, but this is something where I just felt like as a musician, I can't be in that environment. I got to move forward and find something better. And so with that, it just kind of shut down whatever they were going to try to do. And then because I didn't blast them, they had more respect for me.
Yeah.
If there was something, wherever that they felt like, that I was like being a real bitch or something, I would be like, I don't care, because they do nothing for me. They had a bad reputation anyway. So I was like, I don't really care. People were like applauding that I did that move, you know?
Oh, wow.
So,
It's been really
yeah.
bad environment.
It was super bad. It was really bad. So, but you know, I mean, they're still doing their stuff, which is great. You know, I don't really care. You know, I don't want to be part of it.
Do you know if they still have that reputation, or has it changed over the years?
As far as I know, from what I hear, they still have the reputation. Yes.
Oh my God.
But you know, they're still doing it, so that's great on them.
At least you walked out with dignity.
You see, and that's how you have to do it. Yep. But you know, I mean, that goes on to the next questions about, or the next topic, which would be unprepared musicians, because of course, in that situation that I was in, there was a lot of that. And it reflected on the whole band, because the band would get hired to play behind artists. And then you had like one or two people, really just one, because she was a lush.
Oh my.
That I know. Look, I'm like bad. I'm not bad mouthing. I'm just telling truth. But they wouldn't have their stuff together. And when you're learning stuff for an artist, you got to be sounding like the record. How do you all feel about like the unprepared musicians, or I guess like in relation to what you would do?
I have an instance of my own. It was me who was unprepared. Is that okay to share?
I guess. Go ahead. That's funny.
Yeah, I mean, just gotta be honest. Sometimes it's you that's the fall guy. You know, sometimes it's you that's, you know, in the wrong. And there was this particular gig. It's like, oh, you want to go on this? It's like, I don't know. It's last minute. This, then the third. Well, it's fine. It's easy. You can learn it. So fine. I learned, you know, the music, and I said, okay. I told the person, is it okay if I just come sit in and just, you know, soak everything in? Sure. So I get there. That's not the case. Oh yeah, here's your amp, here's your mic. I gotta sing. Lord jeez, I didn't know about the vocal. What? Okay. So here's your mic.
Oh,
here's
wow.
this sound guy. So I'm sitting there like gobsmacked. Like I'm just like, oh my goodness. I'm like starting to have anxiety. Like, oh my goodness. It's like, I'm just supposed to sit here. I don't know what they told you, but I'm just so I'm trying to I'm just to sit here and, you know, play around and get like, no, you're here, you gotta play, you gotta do this. It's like, and it's not that I wasn't prepared. I was prepared mentally for it. You know, I knew the music and I knew this and the third, but it's like you have to be prepared in all levels and all aspects. So as far as the music, I had that, but I didn't go in there thinking, okay, you have to play. And that's the thing for a musician. You have to be ready to play at all times. You don't know where gig come. You don't know, you might have to be called up to play. And in that instance, I just wasn't mentally prepared for it. And consequently, I didn't get that gig because I wasn't mentally prepared for it. And that was on me. So that's my experience.
That's the thing is, you know, getting thrown in that spot, you know.
Yeah.
Have you ever dealt with that, Shorn?
Well, I'm gonna say like in the past, I think when my father was leading the band, it was a little rushed because we didn't really have a big, you know, have at least a set done. We was rushing just putting songs out there, and plus not everybody, mostly the singers, they weren't really like prepared wise when it comes to vocals and harmony and learning their lyrics. And I'm like, okay, y'all are supposed to know when we get our cues, even though we practice our own songs and stuff in our own time. But like that time we were at rehearsal, is just that we couldn't get anything done because the singers don't know their parts.
Unprepared.
So that like it was kind of it was frustrating. It was very frustrating. We couldn't like, okay, how are we gonna do this on this gig? And y'all don't know your parts.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to like come in and help out learn their parts because some of them don't know how to harmonize, and I had to give them their part. And I'm technically ain't supposed to be singing.
Wow.
I'm just like busy playing guitar. I'm sitting here getting your parts. I just like that was like kind of irritating. Like y'all, everybody, like when it comes to being a musician, you're supposed to make sure you have everything, learning your parts before you actually go to an actual rehearsal. We're just going to do a run through of the set, not going back over and over and over again and waste a lot of time, especially if you're in a venue that you have to pay per hour.
Definitely.
So that's like kind of like my advice.
I know a lot of musicians, or at least I see it on Facebook a lot, where they they preach that learn your music before you get to rehearsal, because rehearsal's not to learn music, it's to run over the stuff, and it's more efficient like that. Because I even know like some unprepared musicians that are like real rude about it. When they get called out, they start getting defensive or rude about it, and it's just like, hey, it's you're not ready, you're not prepared, so you shouldn't be getting pissed off.
And that is, I mean, you're totally right. I mean, going back to the story, that happened with me, they very well could have been rude and said this in the third, how you're gonna come here and not play or be. I was like, even though I was told I could sit, that's still not the point. You should still be mentally, just be there, be present 100%. And luckily, the band leader was like, she texted me and pulled me to the side. I was like, listen, you're just not ready right now for this. I just need you to go get your head in the game, and next time you're going to be ready. And she like pumped me up. She gave me that encouragement. She was like, it happens to all of us. Everybody may have mentally, some people might not be prepared. Some people might not be there. Something might come up. This time, the next time, have your full head in the game. Next time, we got you. So that was like a positive. It could have went any way. But I know she pumped me up and said, okay, because, that comes down to it too. Even though you could be the issue in the band or the issue at that moment in time, it also helps to have somebody on your side say, okay, I've been there. I know what's up. It's okay. Next time you got it. You know what I mean? That's also a good thing to have.
I guess this would happen like even in a manager situation, being at that level, or being like, I guess in the manager or MD spot, being able to not discourage, somebody who probably isn't ready, but more encouraging and saying, hey, like pretty much telling them like the real, but giving them the encouragement not to give up, which I think is nice. But yeah, there's a lot of, just situations that I've been through where there's just been rude even at work, even like in a workplace, dealing with rude coworkers, where it's like, man, I don't like. There's always somebody in any situation where it's just like you just like wish that they weren't around. Like, do I have to go to work and deal with this person? And then they end up getting fired.
Right. And the boss needs to get fired. Like, oh no, sometimes I hear like, what happened? Oh, they weren't doing their work. They just watching yours. They weren't doing theirs. Oh, how did that work out?
Yeah. No, I mean, I was when I had a full-time job as a designer back before I did like freelance and stuff. There was this one guy who we hired to do motion graphics, and he had like, according to his resume and his portfolio, he was doing like 3D stuff, and he really like fooled us. And so we hired him, and we noticed, I think he wasn't that busy, or we didn't have a job for him right away, so we kind of gave him like some Photoshop work, and he took forever for that. And that was like the beginning of stuff, so we're all like kind of like talking and like, okay, this guy's taking forever on that, like he shouldn't be. And then we actually gave him a job where it was like, it was for
Is she on a bicycle?
I don't know. It sounded like wind. Anyways, we actually gave him a job where it was like, it was for a cosmetic thing for an Australian company, and so it was 3D work, and so we like gave that job to him, and he never got it done. He didn't even get the deadline done. And the owner of the company had to take over and, just kind of do what he could to get something out, for at least to show the client. And so after that, yeah, he got fired. I mean, pretty much like, because I was like in charge of him, and I like pushed him, and I would be like, what's going on? And I kind of had to like talk to the owner, because it was a small company at first, and I had to talk to the owner and be like, look, something's going on. He's not listening to me. He's really hard to work with. Like, I tried all my tactics, being nice to him, being supportive, and then being a bitch, and so yeah, he got fired. But that's what happens. You try to You try to, like, if somebody's like that, you try to learn from that and not be like them. You know.
Sidebar: do not lie on your resume. We'll catch up to you.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
What is good, everybody? This is Shorny Shorn Marshall from Fret Sisters. Make sure you hit that follow button here on Anchor so you will get notified when our newest episode will be premiered.
I mean, I think we already touched on this. With the next topic would be unprofessional musicians, and that's pay, the lateness. Sometimes when there's one unprofessional musician, it reflects on all of us.
Yeah.
You know, usually it's not the case if, like, you just hired as an individual. So, like, if you're going into a job where you were hired separately and not as a band, then you can pretty much be like, oh, I'm cool, you know, if you're not like that. But when you're in a band situation and you get hired from the artist, and then you got one person being unprofessional and being late, that's not good. So what do you do there?
That's kind of like a hard situation because some people might be parents and, you know, life happens. We never know what's going to happen with that. Lateness, well, especially if you're in the area that deals with a lot of traffic, please leave like about an hour or 2 hours early if you know there's going to be bad traffic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when it comes to or at least keep them updated. Like if it's really something that's out of your control, like as far as traffic, because you know traffic, there's always something. There's like an accident that just happens. At least like, hey, text your MD saying I'm coming. There's this really bad accident type thing, whatever. Kind of be responsible for your stuff. The unprofessional musician thing, it kind of makes me think of one of our interviewees with Tasia, when she talked about how she got hired for Janelle Monáe. And it was through a church thing where she met, I guess, the MD or the guy at church once. And somebody spotted her on that and wanted to like get in touch with her for that gig. And she said that it was just at one time that she was at that church service to play. If she had a bad attitude or didn't learn her music or was unprepared, then she wouldn't have gotten the gig because of that one instance. So even if you're in a band, as long as you're prepared, and even though that one musician may reflect on the band, there might be that one person that be like, well, she was the one that was more professional out of all of them.
I mean, it still comes down to character. I mean, if you're in the band and that band is not professional, has an attitude, not courteous to other members, and just people in general, and if an individual sees you and you're like that as well, of course, that's not going to bring future gigs for you individually. I think whoever you are as a person, it has to reflect that all the time. Because I've heard stories of people who have been in bands aren't good, and when you get them alone, it's like, listen, I heard you play. I heard good things about you. I had this gig for you. You know what I mean? So it just comes down to, in any gig, whether you're playing with a gig that has issues or you're playing with a great gig or a big top artist. Even the top artist can be a bad person on outside the stage. You know, you still have to always be you and be that courteous, conscientious person that gravitates people towards you to get future gigs in the future.
That's so true. But yeah, I totally agree with, with what you said. How do you say?
Don't be corrupted by what's around you.
Yes, that's it. That's it. Don't be corrupted. Just because they're getting away with it doesn't mean that you should, because they're not going to get the job later on. Or when they come back and they're like, yeah, I want to hire the group again, they might say, I don't want that drummer, which I think has happened one time, or I don't want the keyboard player or whatever. Yeah. So, but this one's a good one. How can you tell if a musician is acting shady? Oh man. Man, I'm telling you right now, for some reason, I can read people. I don't know what it is. I think a lot of people can, but I just feel like I have a gift and I'm glad that I have it, that I'm able to read people when I meet them, because there's something like if they're acting a certain way or just, I don't know, the aura, if I'm not feeling that aura, then I'm like, something's going on, and I'm usually right. So, I don't know. What are some tips? Because I can just say aura. and spirit, but I know that that's not really the case.
I probably might gotta use this on my experience because this has happened recently. This happened recently. I was in a new group and we was preparing for an upcoming gig. Now, in my senses, and sometimes my anxiety do be tripping, but some of my anxiety shows me that I'm right. We didn't have at least one set list. And I was like, okay, we had this gig, we doing for 3 hours. Okay. We don't even have a set list. It's stupid. And you're rushing in just picking any songs. We didn't even have any transitions or anything that would lead to what song next. Then, okay, and also we was looking for a new singer in the group too. So I was like, okay, came in rehearsal, met the new singer. Oh, she sings nice. She's very nice and talented. And I can tell in my senses, I was like, okay, I feel like I might be getting kicked out and be replaced by that bitch, even though she doesn't know how to play guitar and she's just a singer. And I found out about it, like, okay, we had this group chat and stuff like that. I was removed from the group chat. And then I talked to the leader and I was like, okay, I'm not in the group chat, blah, blah, blah. And then she sent me this long behind text, a long, maybe 2-3 paragraph text, and something like, oh, I don't think it's out for you because it's on a rush. I knew I'm being replaced. I knew I was being replaced because I knew what was going down at the last rehearsal I was in. I was like, okay, I never miss a rehearsal. I always practice my work, even though I've been told not to play guitar and just focus on vocals. Okay, then I can try and focus on vocals. And then they add the choreography involved. I'm like, okay, we don't even have a set list. We can't do any choreography unless we actually have a set list.
Mm-hmm.
It was really shady at first. I'm like, okay, you just dropped a better player off the group just because of everything that's not been prepared. I was a little frustrated myself about, we've been working in since September, and recently, like I think January, February, around that time, that's when I'm like, okay, I was there when we were in the beginning and I'm being kicked off on something that I haven't done. I knew it was something. It was a shady move. It was very shady because I can tell what happened from last practice.
I mean, you think about that and you're like, well, maybe it's a good thing. I mean, everybody always says it's probably a good thing that it happened just because you're dealing with shady people, Do you want to be in that environment? And are they doing anything now? Are they touring?
They not touring. They just did like this gig at the same place and they haven't really like gigging like that. Most people have been gigging separate from the group, not within the group. It was like different solo groups and stuff. And I was like, I thank God I left because I really need to have something that I haven't even finished yet. And I finally got that done.
Yeah, I feel like if something like that and it happens to you in life in general, and you're fired or kicked out or just any bad situation, it's probably the best thing that happened because it's probably going to be a stressful thing anyways. That's how I felt with that one band. I just felt like I didn't look like the same person. I didn't feel like the same person. I wasn't into my craft. It was very much of a headache, very stressful, a lot of tension, people that I don't even want to be with.
And feel like you're about to break down and cry.
And the thing also, but the positive side was I was making a lot of good chump change. I mean, I couldn't live off of it, but I was playing a lot. And it was good for, good grocery money, money for shoes and stuff. Like, it was just like that good extra money that I was always getting that I can use at my leisure. But that didn't matter to me. It's like, just because I can brag about 3 or 4 gigs or having 6 or 7 gigs a week, it was like, I wasn't happy.
Peace of mind comes first.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
And what you're talking about, I have good discernment as well. But what I tend to do is I ignore it to a certain extent because I want to see who the person really is quicker. Because usually if you call people on it, they go back to that fake persona that they had. So it takes longer to get to the real person. So I ignore, especially in business, I tend to ignore, shady comments or if every time I talk to you, you're gossiping or talking about someone else, another musician, I'm like, okay, well, this is somebody I can't tell anything to, but okay, what's next? Oh, yeah, okay, oh, really? There's something, okay, I can't talk to you about this. Or if, there's a disagreement, it's always been said to me when I was younger, and I've heard it, a disagreement is the quickest way to find out how someone really feels about you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So in these instances, and one where I found out someone was kind of being shady, is it goes back to a friend musician and someone I was paying to help me do something. I got on the call. You say, so and such said this about you. I'm like, who? The one I'm paying to help get to where I need to go? Yeah. So I'm like, okay, so I already got vibes. I already got a vibe about this. And it happened. I don't really know what the breakdown happened, but I knew it was going to happen. And that's the thing. I stayed in a situation too long where I knew, like, okay, I need to move on. And that's another instance. If you get a vibe or a feeling about something, it's time to move on. It's eventually going to break down. You're just prolonging the breakdown.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to this person. It's like, okay, yeah, I said this because. And a lot of these situations can be eradicated or alleviated if you just say, listen, we're going with someone else. We're going in a different direction. This is going to be your last week. Just say that. I mean, that'll save time. That'll save hurt feelings. That'll save extra phone calls. You know what this beep of the bleep said and did to me? That'll save all that. Just say, okay, this will be your last week. We're getting a new drummer. We're getting a new guitarist. We're getting a new singer. I just wish people would be more honest. I mean, things happen, jobs. Sometimes it's a revolving door. Sometimes I'm not giving you what. Just say that, and we'll all be happy and leave. When I see you on the street, you won't have to cross the street thinking I'm mad at you because of something that you did.
Mm-hmm. I totally feel that. It just reminded me of a situation when I went out on tour with Salt and Pepper. Totally similar to what you went through or what you just talked about, where the musicians that are acting shady or people around you that are acting shady could be somebody that you respect. Right?
That's the worst. Yes, Jenny.
That is the worst. It totally happened to me where my mentor, he was my guitar mentor. He pretty much taught me a lot just about playing. He was there for me in the beginning when I first started playing in a go-go band back in the day with Pleasure and stuff. And he taught me a lot, like just, as a musician and everything. And so I looked up to him. So when we got the gig with Salt and Pepper, we took him along with us. He totally did the worst on me, backstabbed me. I was really green when I went out on tour. And so I was just learning really hard. That's when I took funk lessons and all that kind of stuff just to get on point. And so there were issues, there were times being on the road where I had to fail a little. I had to experience failure in a way, but my band members were so supportive of me. So they kept me going. But him, I'm telling you, behind the scenes, he was talking about bringing other guitarists to replace me. He was working with another guitarist, some female guitarist. I didn't really know who she was, and I don't really know how she played, but I know that he was working with her. And so I knew she probably was good because he was that good. And he was trying to get her the gig and get them to fire me behind the scenes. Yes, it was terrible. And so I kind of was told that this was happening. And I was like, what? And so I was devastated, first of all, because this guy, I looked up to him and I'm like, you're playing me like that? Like, really? You're sitting here smiling in my face. And you're sitting here trying to get me out of the group. So after I found out, we were set to go to California to play, I think, Arsenio, right? I was in school. I was putting myself through school when we were home at the time while we were touring. And I got a part-time job at some lawyer office. And when they told us that we were going to California, so I was like, you know what? I can't deal with the stress. I can't deal with people talking behind my back and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I quit because we were supposed to sign contracts for the next round. And I called up the tour manager. I said, I'm not doing it. I'm just going to stay home. I'm going to finish school. I'm going to work at this place because I'm making $10 an hour. I mean, It wasn't a lot, but And they were like, what? And my bandmates were like, what? That was it. I quit, right? And then they went up to New York because that's where where they were doing rehearsals. And I get this phone call 2 days later, and it's my bass player. And she's like, get your ass on the train. They want you back. I'm like,
See?
what? She's like, they can't hire somebody quick enough to learn the stuff that you did. She's like, you just better get on the train tonight. And I was like, okay. And so I quit my job. I told my friend, tell my teachers that I'm not going to be coming back to school for a while. And I did the overnight train to New York, and I was like, damn, I'm telling you. And that takes us to our next topic, is avoiding stress, staying healthy mentally and physically. Damn, man.
Stay away from the BS. Plain and simple.
Right? I mean, what do you do? Like, what do you guys do? Well, I mean, definitely, Cole, you're right. Stay away from the BS. Like,
for me, I know my limits because I'm still working on me, as everyone is. You know, like Michelle Obama says, I'm becoming to where I'm trying to work on my fast, quick temper, because after a while, I take a lot in. But after a while, when you finally say something in these instances, oh my goodness, you're crazy. No, I'm not crazy. I've been dealing with this for months, and now I'm saying something. But but the thing is, I try to avoid that. If like I say, I give people a chance to show me who they are. But I mean, it really doesn't take that long. It's you just keep stabbing yourself with the same knife after a while. So when you find out who that person is, especially if it's someone that you admire, that you love, family, friends, associates, coworkers, whatever, you have to back away for your peace of mind. Because after a while, even if you're in that instance, even if it's a job that you enjoy, say you're gigging, say you're touring, that can make that time a hardship for you. And you won't even get to enjoy it because you're thinking about the person who's taking that joy away from what you love. So always lean towards your peace and your happiness, and everything else around that and sort of, blossoming, elevate to where you are.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
You got anything to say about that, Shorn?
Mm-hmm.
Or add to?
Well, me with stress, I don't know why my boyfriend called me a little stress ball, but he does call me a big ball of stress. I usually like be in my room, candles, aromatherapy, and just, deep breathing, meditating. I usually meditate. I put that in my schedule, especially when I wake up and before I go to bed. And also have my anxiety pills on deck just in case.
Mm-hmm.
And just be in the room. If I just want to scream, I just like being like an outside area and just scream sometimes, because it's like there's a times I want to like break down and just scream just to get all this stuff inside of me out, because I don't like anything that followed up on me anymore, and I'm still working on that, because holding my feelings and everything. And also, I have to say it. Sometimes we be stressing out, we be sexually frustrated, okay? I have to say it. If you have a significant other, and get that out the way, because sometimes it does ease stress. I just read an article about that. That deals with
Girl,
stress.
Preach, girl, preach. That's awesome. Oh my God.
Yeah, I had to get that out because it just happened recently, and I was like, we were both frustrated. And we were both frustrated. We were in the band, busy at work. I'm like, I'm stressed out. I'm tense. I've been tense for the past few days. We haven't done anything.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's always a great stress killer right there.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's sometimes it's really hard, like to look really hard.
Oh Lord, this has been into another podcast. How musicians
Sorry.
handle their frustration. No, it's fine. That is fine. Go ahead. Anything you have. Help the people. Help the people.
Yeah. But with social media today, I think Lacole said, just stay away from the BS, or just try not to ignore it. Just really ignore it, because you got a lot of stuff going on social media that people are just getting too involved politically, religiously, even against another person, or even a musician going after another musician, trying to blackball each other, and people just getting in on that. Life is short. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you're young, you don't think that, but I think everybody's thinking that now because a lot of people are just dying.
They are younger and younger.
So, I mean, really, the only way to just avoid it is just to stay out of it and have a lot of sex.
And by all means,
Yes.
log off sometimes. You
Yes.
get involved in other people's lives, and your life is a wreck. Your life is a wreck. People stunt and put on for the gram. Okay, do not believe every post. Do not believe every picture. Log off and work on yourself. That is also a stress reliever.
Yeah, always be on the vacation away social media.
And even with social media, like getting into the posting, even getting involved in stuff like that, just to like get other people to stress out with you, I just think is just something that is just not a good thing. And it also doesn't look good on you as a musician because people are looking at you. So I think this was great. I hope people find it very useful.
This was a good one, guys.
Yeah, this is a good one.
Yeah.
Despite all the crap we had to deal with Shorn.
Oh my goodness.
That's being edited out. Sorry.
They're building houses in the background.
I know. She's got the breeze happening. Are you having sex?
That's what it is. You let me have sex, like, oh my Lord.
I'm not cutting this out. I'm not editing that out.
I don't do that.
I hope it okay. That's
all. Right. So yeah, that concludes another episode of Fret Sisters Presents. Can I talk between frets? Fret Tea Talk. Boy, we talked a lot of tea.
Yes,
we didn't mention names though. Well, I kind of did, but that's okay. My stuff happened millions of years ago.
I'll drop names in the comments. Just look right now.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. I know. Like, let's start some stress.
Hit that censor button.
Yeah, I know. Beep. So I guess we'll just conclude, with social media. Everybody plugs, shout outs, whatever. Shout out to our founder, our sister founder,
Autumn Rose.
Autumn Rose. Look, I'm thinking about the podcast.
There are
Autumn
two
Rose.
Roses, people. I'm Lacole Rose. There's an Autumn Rose. No relation for any future
No
reference.
relation, right? No relation. So plug yourselves.
Y'all can find me on IG, Shorn Music Official, and Facebook and Twitter, be like Shorn Music. Follow me on YouTube, youtube.com/Mickey92685. I am putting more videos up. Just check out my music video.
And you got an EP coming out soon, right?
Yes, Reinvention will be on my birthday, September 26th.
Woo-hoo. And you, Lacole, where can we reach you?
Me at Lacole Rose Music on Instagram, and I haven't got a YouTube page yet, but I will get on that. So
yay!
Yeah.
And I'm Genny Jam, and you can reach me on Instagram and YouTube, Genny Jam. That's GENNY, not J. And pretty much when this podcast airs, I already have my single out, Echo, featuring Tiffany. Echo featuring Tiffany Lloyd, but that'll be out.
Music, ladies.
Yay! So we hope you have a great day or night or whatever time it is while you're listening to this. So see you next time.
Later.
Hello, good people. This is Lacole Rose. If you'd like to be featured on one of our Between Frets podcasts, you can email us at fretsistersmusic@gmail.com, or you can DM us at FretSisters on Instagram. We would love to hear about your musical journey. And as always, thank you for listening.